On Wednesday night, in a nationally televised forum on foreign policy, Donald Trump responded to a direct question about his fitness to represent the U.S. on the world stage by saying he had already scored a foreign policy win. A top Mexican official had resigned in the wake of his visit to Mexico last week. Look at the aftermath today, where the people that arranged the trip in Mexico have been forced out of the government, he said on NBC's Commander-in-Chief Forum. That's how well we did. He was talking about Luis Videgaray, the Mexican finance minister, who stepped down on Wednesday, a move many Mexicans believed was an effort by Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto to stem the political fallout from his meeting with Trump. Trump called it a win, but a lot of diplomats heard Trump's words and cringed. Videgaray was seen as an important U.S. ally, a partner in border security who has helped in reducing illegal immigration and drug smuggling across the U.S.-Mexico border, two issues at the heart of Trump's campaign. This was a negative result, said Todd Rosenblum, a former official in the Obama administration's Department of Homeland Security and Department of Defense and now a fellow at the Scowcroft Center for International Security. With Videgaray's departure, we, the U.S., lost a real friend and advocate in the Mexican government, he said. Trump's brief remark about Mexico was largely overshadowed by the candidate's praise for Russian President Vladimir Putin and his attack on U.S. generals, who he said had been reduced to rubble during Obama's presidency. But among foreign policy experts, his view of Mexico stuck out as a clear and troubling window into the underlying principle of Trump's foreign policy thinking: what matters isn't building alliances. It's hurting the other guy. That would be a conclusion you can draw, that he views this as a zero-sum game. America wins when other countries lose, said David Edelman, the U.S. ambassador to Singapore from 2010 to 2013. But that has not been the formula for American foreign policy success. At first, Trump's Mexico trip had looked like a positive new turn for a candidate who had alienated nearly the entire American foreign policy establishment with his cavalier approach to world affairs. Trump received praise for his meeting with Peña Nieto and his public comments afterward, which were uncharacteristically devoid of Trumpian insults against Mexicans and demands that the country pay for a wall on the border. He delivered a controlled, fairly upbeat speech and talked about partnership between nations. It was almost boring, the type of speech a diplomatic, if informal, leader might give. Just a few hours later, though, Trump returned to the U.S. for a speech on immigration and reverted back to his build the wall, insult Mexico plan. And on Wednesday night, at the forum in New York, Trump betrayed his underlying worldview about international diplomacy when he deemed the trip a success because a top Mexican official had resigned. You don't want the other country to ever feel that way, said a former White House national security official about Videgaray's resignation. The next engagement that Trump has with the president, they will be that much more guarded. It will be more scripted and more heavily litigated. Videgaray had been one of the leading officials pushing Peña Nieto to meet with Trump, and the meeting has had a steep political cost in Mexico, creating a political backlash against its president. Many Mexicans believe the trip only increased Trump's chances of winning the White House. And for the U.S., Videgaray's resignation could also do long-term damage as well. Videgaray was one of the most pro-reforming member of Peña Nieto's cabinet, Rosenblum said. Considered a candidate to succeed Nieto as president in 2018, he faces much longer odds now. It's unclear whether Trump knew about Videgaray's role in helping secure the U.S.-Mexico border. His campaign did not respond to a request for comment. But on Thursday afternoon on Twitter, he called Videgaray a brilliant finance minister and said, with Luis, Mexico and the United States would have made wonderful deals together, where both Mexico and the U.S. would have benefited. The diplomatic challenges facing the next president are extensive: a resurgent Russia, a rising China, insecurity in Europe and numerous crises in the Middle East, all of which require the U.S. president to strike a careful diplomatic tone on the world stage. While President Barack Obama has been overseas the past week, he has faced a series of diplomatic confrontations, from China not providing stairs to disembark Air Force One to the Philippine president's profanity-laced diatribe against Obama before their scheduled meeting. Obama largely laughed off the stair incident while he canceled the meeting with Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Duterte later apologized and the presidents met informally on the side of the Association of Southeast Nations gathering in Laos. Trump criticized Obama's response to the plane incident, arguing that the president should have simply refused to get off his plane and left the country. But diplomats who watched the visit unfold believe Obama's reaction prevented the incidents from becoming larger crises, a willingness to rise above personal slights that's often necessary in the building of delicate international relationships. Of course, much of international diplomacy is adversarial, with winners and losers. Finding solutions to the civil war in Syria, to Russia's transgressions in Ukraine and in cyberspace, and to China's territorial disputes in the South China Sea will not be easy. In any potential diplomatic agreement on those issues, neither side will receive everything at once. But those negotiations largely take place in private. Disagreements are not aired on the world stage. You have the very difficult and frank discussions in private, said the former White House official. That's just how it's done. The name of the game is to not show up counterparties, said Edelman, the former Singapore ambassador. They make a lot about saving face in Asia, but it's not unique to Asia. There's no benefit in embarrassing government officials in Mexico. Trump's vision for diplomacy appears to be the exact opposite. Every interaction with an international leader is a negotiation in which one country comes out a winner and the other a loser. That the countries both can benefit, can both be winners, or at least both need to plausibly be able to declare victory, does not seem to register with Trump at all.